Which builds broke the PTR for Diablo 4 and are going to be great in Season 6? We will start with Sorcerer, and it's something different than the standard Lightning Spear, because Roxy cooked up a new one. This build will be using Chain Lightning together with the actual Conduit pants to have them hovering around you to, well, soak your mana dry and do great explosions. Teleport consistently around, as you can see there, it's just constant teleporting, popping unstable currents, getting all these bonus lightning spells going on. And the weapon you're using is called Azure Wrath. What? Yes, lucky hit chance to trigger the frost explosion for quite some damage. Because if you have it as a greater affix, the damage seems to be into the 17,000. You get a 20% chance to freeze enemies for 3 seconds and deal 3,000 cold damage. That's kind of weak. But the weapon also has a lucky hit that can greater affix and has up to a 40% chance to deal 17,550 cold damage. What? Yes, that is absolutely crazy. That's like having another core skill that can go super bonkers and being able to get your lucky hit up very much with the Ring of Starless Skies and the Helm of Perdition. Now keep in mind though, the Helm of Perdition is actually bugged and scales damage up too much. But even if the damage was scaling lower than that, this build should be looking more than fine. And it is certainly fun because I like the interaction of actual Conduit where it's soaking your mana down to do these explosions, and you get to essentially check how many chain lightnings do you want to do that you can maintain this balance between too much mana lost and just enough mana lost. Brilliant. Very cool to see something else than just Lightning Spear, even though it still has Lightning Spear. And for Rogue, we have a tier 100 clear in around 3 minutes. Yes, it's going super crazy, absolutely destroying everything with the new Dance of Knife skill. It is not a core skill, but is essentially being played like a core skill. You don't channel it, you just spam it. So it's like Dance of Knives, Dance of Knives, Dance of Knives. Then you poison imbue the actual skill. Do have your Shadow Step, your Smoke Grenade, and just literally with a poison trap, fly through the dungeon, maximum attack speed, Tyrell's Might. It does look plenty fun, I'll have to say, especially when it comes down to, well, the actual Dance of Knives, as you can see, like he's just continuously doing it, never running out of Dance of Knives charges, being able to just continuously zoom through the dungeon. I do enjoy mostly ranged rogue, but I have to say this does look like something silly enough that when you reach this power level, you just have that one guy to really speed farm whatever you're looking for. I mean, I need masterwork materials in a nightmare dungeon right now. I'm definitely not going to farm that with my Necro because my Necro is naturally slow. But if I had a Sorg or a Dance of Knife rogue like this, we're flying. Let's actually look at the boss fight here. Interesting enough, he took now 3 minutes to get to this point, and you would assume the boss fight is going to take another 2 to 3 minutes, but yeah, at this point, from a gear perspective, it's only 2 mythics with a Helm of Perdition, kind of overscaling, Tyrell's Might, then the lucky hit Fists of Fate, but the rest is just normal greater affixed items to get to this point. That does seem achievable in a normal manner of time. For Druid, we get Mr. JMac here, and that is going to be a pure Landslide. That is having the Poison Creeper together with the Landslide, absolutely just overwhelming the opponent. Pretty run-of-the-mill standard build, Cyclone Armor with the bonus defense, damage reduction with your Roars. Nothing too crazy. You get the Petrify going on, triggering the Warcry from the Barbarian over your cooldown skills and what's so not. Could go for the good old Stormslide build as well. Both of them are performing fantastic. There are some weird Druid builds that I wasn't entirely sure about what's actually going on, where you're just shouting. So that was a permanent Grizzly Rage into shout, 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 and they were literally yelling enemies to death. It looked funny, but the whole gameplay loop didn't look too much fun to me personally. where I just really do enjoy the kind of landslide, stormslide kind of fun, especially as landslide, stormslide does not seem to be relying on any kind of bug to actually work and scale the damage up high, which means that it's most likely going to work exactly that way in season 6 as well. This is always something to consider. If something is only good on the PTR because there's currently a bug going on, then highly assured it's not going to be amazing when it does hit the live servers. I mean, surprise, right? That being said, Druid takes a while. I mean, this is probably not perfect gear on the player, and we have 2 minutes left on the boss. He'll get that tier 100 done, but it's nowhere compared to the Rogue or the Sorc, who have been both doing it in 2 to 5 minutes. Like, they're just flying through. I mean, obviously, Druid having the same problem as the Necro, no movement speed galore. You're essentially the slowest lumbering nerd in existence. Yeah, I mean, happens, right? We all want to move fast and fly over the map, but some of us are just challenged. In the gear department, it is only 2 mythics, actually. That's kind of surprised. I mean, usually most of these builds have like 3 to 4 mythics, right? Because you can. But no, we get the 2 mythics going on with the Ring of Starless Skies, and then also with Tyrell's Might for the resistances, and that does seem possible as well. Then for the Necromancer, I'm shamelessly plugging my own gameplay. As we get the Spirit Wave Necro going on, who is throwing out blood waves with blood lances to consume these blood orbs to then throw out bone spirits out of your chest. And the smoothness of gameplay is just truly what makes this better than the other bone spirit build. The other bone spirit build really relies you on just standing close to your opponents and spamming away those bone spirits, and it can feel plenty weird at times and clunky. Whereas here you're essentially stepping forward, holding down your button of spamming the bloodlands, and then just blood waving around, and you're essentially pushing into your opponents with these tides of blood. They're just behind you, right? Triple cast, triple cast, triple cast, and they're moving everyone with you while these bone spirits are just flying out of you, and we're looking at billions and billions of damage. The highest actually in this video at the boss fight is going to be 22 billion. And it's actually hella fast. I mean, we're looking at a 5-minute clear for a Necro on a pit 100. And again, this build is also one of these that is not using a bug. Yes, there's no crazy weird ass thingy going on, but the Helmet of Perdition, that means the damage is going to be slightly lower unless they do even more stat squishing. But as you can see in the gear right now, we do have the Doombringer, we do have the Helm, we do have the Starless Skies. To get to these points of damage, you'll do need quite some equipment, but this also works without these items very well as soon as you do have the Blood Artisan's Cuirass going crazy. Now, for everything broken about Barb, you usually just enter Rob2628 into your browser and you see how he just recently broke the Barbarian again with highest damage done, and it goes actually into infinite numbers. But I guess the real most fun build right now is just the Barbarian being able to do AFK tons of damage. Yes, this is the Barb just standing AFK. And how does this work? Well, there is a rune that makes an earthquake, and the trigger for this rune is standing still. Ergo, you're standing still, you're getting earthquakes, and as you know or not, but Barbarian scales very well with earthquakes. So you can actually stand AFK and kill everything by standing AFK. Even the pit 100 is just falling from you. Now, I do believe that this build will probably not make it this way to the PTR. There might either be a nerf to the Earthquake Dust Devils coming, or not, who knows, because the actual rune that is standing still and generating offering is not at fault here. It's doing exactly what it should do, and only because it's overdoing it on Barbarian, yeah. Maybe you could make the offering that an Earthquake needs to be cast, because right now it's, I think, 100 or 50 offering only to cast an Earthquake, which is extremely quick. Maybe make that double or triple, that getting these Earthquakes is actually more expensive because of how good Earthquakes are on the Barbarian. Am I advocating to nerf this? No. I mean, if this would be a build where you can stand AFK, you get the Dust Devils out and you have a good time, you know what? That's fine. That's fine. I would play this build. Like don't nerf this. I mean, I'm just saying, like, maybe for the sake of, I don't know what, but like if this goes to the live server like this, I will 100% make this build, because you know what? It is fun. It is absolute fun. You set up by pulling things together with your chains, then go into that corner, have your earthquake stack up, barely survive, as you can see. Barely survive by rotating your shouts, triggering cooldowns, getting the petrify going. Yep, you essentially get the petrify going, then stun everyone, stomp them, make more earthquakes. It's great. It's really fun. And these are all the builds broken, absolutely overperforming in the PTR. But there's obviously going to be nerfs and buffs happening that might elevate others and cut down some more. Don't worry, we'll have an updated video as Season 6 is around the corner. Plus, these are only the existing classes without the Spiritborn. And as we know, traditionally, expansion classes are overpowered. Therefore, the Spiritborn itself is going to have a gorilla, a centipede, an eagle, and a jaguar build. Jaguar? I don't really know how to pronounce that. They're all going to be OP themselves. And if you do want to see that Spirit Wave now in action, clearing tier 100, going bonkers, enjoy. Have a fantastic good day. Thank you for watching.